I am so excited to be interviewing this afternoon for me and across a very large pond, Patricia Barker of New Zealand Ballet in New Zealand. So welcome. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Oh, well, thank you for including me. It's an honor to be here.
So where are you? What's going on?
I'm in my office in Wellington, New Zealand. We will start company class in about 35 minutes or so. And here in New Zealand, the Royal New Zealand Ballet is back in our studios rehearsing, touching. We're getting ready for our performance of Venus Rising that will open, let me look at my calendar, on the 20th of next month.
That is incredibly exciting. You mentioned when we were sort of off air, don't be jealous. I think we're just all so happy somebody is making art, making ballet somewhere the old school way.
Well, lockdown was definitely difficult, and our hearts and souls go out to all those dancers that are still at home and are still in their homes, in their kitchens, in their living rooms, in their hallways. But I have to say that during lockdown, created a new energy in my dancers. They wanted to come back into the studio. They wanted to create. And you know, you cannot keep an artist down. We ended up doing an in-studio, informal performance of 5 works of in-house dancers creating sometimes, some of them, their very first work ever on their colleagues and people that were in their bubbles that all started during lockdown. So you can't keep a creator down. You can't keep that kind of energy down. And I don't think you can keep a dancer that wants to express themselves through their art form. And that's true contemporary dance.
Yeah, although I do think that having a leader that's willing to have that conversation, to open up the studio to that, to be open and welcoming to new people creating and allowing the space for that, I think that's pretty important.
Well, it's always been a part of my platform as an artistic director. I'm not a choreographer. I do stage a few works, and the Balanchine Trust has been very nice allowing me to stage a few of Balanchine works. But it's to provide a platform for choreographers, for creative, for designers. It's to create that platform to build the next generations of great dance makers.
So can we roll back the movie a little bit and start a little bit more at the beginning? Pacific Northwest Ballet, and then to the Midwest to Grand Rapids Ballet, which I arrived at just after you had departed, and then the Royal New Zealand Ballet. Talk a little bit about your career, the career arc going from beloved, iconic dancer to the other side of the room.
Well, in many ways, I was always inspired by our own directors, Kent Stoll and Francie Russell, as a team that led the Pacific Northwest Ballet. And as a dancer, you always have your heroines and the people you look up to. And I definitely looked up to Francie, and I saw what she did for dancers in the studio. I know how she inspired me. I know that she was always there to pick me up when I fell down, and that talent deserved a chance and a chance and another chance and another chance to succeed. And so that's all inspiring. I knew that my way to an artistic directorship was not through your academic courses. I'm not such a bookworm myself, and I'm a very practical person. I've designed a few ballets, I've designed some costumes, I've done some sets. And when I do these things, I do with paper and scissors and pencils and arts and crafts. As a kid, my mother instilled a lot of arts and crafts in us, so we made things. So I kept that going. So inspiration is first of it. Having examples of how to be successful, I think is what inspires us to take the next steps. I started a company, a dancewear company that we manufactured and sold nationwide. We provided also free leotards and to schools and to projects such as Dance Chance at Pacific Northwest Ballet. We did quite a bit with schools as far as their uniforms, which really made a difference. But what it did is it taught me about spreadsheets, taught me about 25 cents. It taught me about creating for the future. It taught me about manufacturing. It also taught me about dealing and working with employees, inspiring employees, and or having those difficult talks that now is not the time for us to go in that direction. But it also taught me to listen to my employees, what they thought was best. I had to relinquish a lot of daily decisions to those that I had created a team for, because I had a full-time job as a classical ballet dancer. I also went, I was an artistic advisor for the Slovak National Ballet under the directorship of Mario Radichowski. And while I was a dancer, I involved myself in a lot of fundraising. I joined a few boards to understand what it was like from one side. I worked with AGMA as an AGMA rep on the dancer side. And then when I retired, I helped on the management side for a little while. So I kept finding all these little pieces that made up being an artistic director. And but then when I got to Grand Rapids Ballet, it was the first place where all these things kind of came in together. And yeah, we each have our own path, and I really don't think that there's the right way or the wrong way of doing something. I just think it's a different way. We can talk about glissades and tendus, and so many times people will say it's the right way or the wrong way. No, it's just, it's beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and there's just different ways. The same thing for me of being a classical ballet dancer. I'm the 8th child out of 9. And as my father said, they're all very academic. And this apple rolled far from the tree when it dropped. And, you know, he had a motto: if your bike can get you there, you can do whatever you want. So go ride your bike to ballet and ride it back. And it fit.
That's a great motto, although I think I'm older than you, but I do remember, I think things were less scripted and a little bit more free. I spent my summers on my grandmother's farm, and I would ride off bareback in the morning and ride home bareback at, you know, at the end of the day. And if I fell off, if I got lost, I had to figure it out, which is, you know, probably would be considered child abuse nowadays, but was wonderful, right? I mean, I remember riding through the corn and just pulling, it was cow corn, so it didn't taste that good, but pulling it off and eating that for lunch, and, you know, riding my pony like a circus rider through water. You know, I think that sense of freedom is a really good one. You mentioned some different skills, so I'm trying to catch up with you here. Fundraising, reading a spreadsheet, talking to employees, union negotiations from both sides of the table, working with employees, getting everybody headed in the same direction, but also listening skills. That sounds like a pretty good portfolio for leadership. I mean,
well, these are things that I knew were important. I was very fortunate also. My husband, Michael Auer, was classical ballet dancer. He left dance to go into the high-tech industry, and in Seattle, you know, you have those opportunities. He was a very bright individual, and he was what I like to call a startup aficionado. And he was either starting up a company himself and selling it, or bringing it to market, or he was one of the first people in a market. And he was there during that exciting time. So his guidance also has been a huge help.
Because it sounds to me like he gets what you're doing. He's been in it, he's lived it, so he understands it, but he's not parked in exactly the same, or he wasn't at that point parked in exactly the same parking space you were, right?
No, and in fact, to have that kind of encouragement and that kind of support, to be able to, sometimes you need to be able to jostle back and forth and bend your ideas out there. And instead of talking to myself in my office and to the wall, I could actually talk to a person that could bounce back ideas. And what it really has done for me to be able to have that conversation is to understand that we can agree to disagree. But in the end, someone needs to make a decision, and that decision needs to be the best for an organization, not for oneself. And that if you can't defend that point, then why are we doing it? If you can't bring justice to that reason why we're using that choreographer, why we're doing that ballet, or why we're going to do tendus this way or glissade, then you can't defend your point. Then it's just a like. I like vanilla ice cream. You know, great for you. But why do you like it? I like vanilla ice cream because I can turn it into anything I want. I can add chocolate, I can add strawberries, I can add cookies, I can add anything, and I can take that and I can make it a new flavor.
So you were mentioning you're back, you're in rehearsal, you're going to perform, but you still have some dancers that can't join you right now, correct?
Yes, I have 5 dancers. I have 5 dancers under contract that are not in New Zealand. We've asked for a special permission for them to enter, and we've been denied. We also asked for our choreographer, Danielle Rose, who is creating our Sleeping Beauty, and she has been denied, and so has our lighting designer, Rico Guerrarelli. So we're going to re-petition and see if we can get them on our shores. Otherwise, we'll be doing Zoom. Right now, we're doing Zoom with Shelley Washington from the Twyla Foundation for the work Water Babies Bagatelles. But she was here in January and had staged the whole work. So we had already taken over the rehearsal periods and things. And she was supposed to come and put it on stage. But Twyla and that foundation and Shelley been absolutely incredible with us. So we've set up big TVs. We're Zooming so that they can be in the studio live. And yeah, so we should be Zooming from Hawaii.
At least most of your dancers are physically in one place, which helps a lot, I think. Tell us a little bit about Danielle Rose's new work. I'd just love to hear some good news.
Sleeping Beauty is just the iconic work, and I've always dabbled a little bit as the producer in these works. So I had an idea of where I wanted to take Sleeping Beauty. Audiences today, Sleeping Beauty is a long work, and sometimes choreographers use the entire thing, so the audience is in the auditorium like you're at the ring cycle, act after act, and I think our attention spans and ballets were used to something uplifted, but be able to enjoy it with like-minded people in the audience and still do something else prior or after. So I really wanted to squish it and put it around Aurora herself, and also Suru the fairies. And second act has a little twist to it. So yes, I think we've done a great narration to the ballet and brought it into its essence. And I can't wait for it to hit the stage. Donna Jeffries is our costume designer, and it's just magical. We've created our own world. We've set it into our own space and time. And I'm excited.
I mean, but why not right now, right? Why not set your own world in your own space and time? But can I just celebrate for a moment a full-length main stage world premiere ballet by a woman?
Yes, classical.
There are almost none of those. I mean, it's like a pink unicorn. And I will give away the game here a little bit. I do get terribly frustrated when I hear artistic and executive directors say, well, because we're in a pandemic, we need to worry about funding. And because we need to worry about funding, we need to do more of the same. We need to make sure we have a hit because otherwise we might go under, which seems to be the same narrative that we've had up until there was a pandemic. And it seems to me that, maybe I'm wrong, that if your funding model was shaky before, maybe try something different. Maybe bring in those new audiences.
Well, the thing for me is that why doing more of the same. I mean, we are doing Sleeping Beauty. It's one of the biggest classical ballets there are. And it is definitely one of the largest audience goers, right up there with Swan Lake and Romeo and Juliet. But same old, does that mean that a man has to choreograph it to have a hit? Why? Why can't it just be a good choreographer with a great vision?
So you made worldwide headlines for programming an all-female season. It was a massive shocker. And I loved your response, which is that this is not a pipeline issue.
It really isn't. Female choreographers are out there. They've been out there. They've been artistic directors. They've held every position in the ballet world. We have companies that have gone on for years that have never hired a female choreographer, and now they're trying to. And I thank you for the effort. Any effort is fantastic when you put energy into the next generations of dance, period, whether that be a male or a female. But you just have to pick up the phone. They're out there. Do they not inspire? Do they not deliver? Do they not create? Are they not worthy of a phone call? I don't know. I can't answer that question for others.
Do you feel a cultural difference between Seattle, Grand Rapids, New Zealand?
Oh, there always is. The thing that joins us all over the world is our language, is our tendus and our jetés and our port de bras. It's our language, but also what joins us is that there's an empty room with nothing in it, mirrors on one side, bars along the edge, and it's a space for creativity. So that's why we're joined at the hip, no matter where you are in the world.
So I loved your vision of being an artistic director, because it's basically like, I am there to provide a platform. It's a very generous, collaborative view of it, but clearly you have your own vision. How do you have an idea, how 2, 3, 4 years out, where you want to take the company, what you want to do?
Of course I do. I want the success of this organization to sit up there with the rest of national companies. I want international touring. I want us to be known for innovation. I want us to be known for classical ballet and good dance. I want us to be attractive to other dancers that want to come and experience and have their careers here. I want our own New Zealand young talent to be proud of this company and to get their start here in this industry, and not feel that they need to go offshore to start their careers or to be appreciated as artists. And that means a lot of things. It means proper pay. It means wonderful ballets. It means community support. It means sellout performances.
So let's flip it around a little bit. How do you have, like, if something isn't working?
I am brutally honest. It's difficult, but I find it's the best way. Let's not forget that sometimes a director doesn't necessarily, the dancer and the director are not going in the same path for the benefit of the organization. Sometimes a director wants to keep a dancer, and sometimes that dancer's own goals aren't leading in the same direction that director sees them, so they leave. So we have it on both sides.
Sure.
So I don't know why one side should be benefited more than the other. The goal is that we are on the same path. And as soon as a dancer does this and isn't on the same path where I'm taking the organization, sometimes they come back, sometimes they don't. I wish them the best, but I'm not the right director for everybody, and our organization might not be the right one for your entire career.
So essentially what you're saying is you're just transparent, first, last, and always.
I can't be anything more.
Yeah, and I really think that's all that, and it sounds 100% like you're invested in their success, right?
I am, because their success, again, is our success. Our success as an organization is based on their talents, and it's based on all the talents I bring into the Royal New Zealand Ballet. And a lot of times it's based on the choreographers I choose, because if they're not inspired by the talent that's in the studios and dancers aren't used and aren't useful, it's hard to justify having them.
This may be like describing alchemy or magic, but how do you choose your choreographers? How do you know when it's working, but how do you know when it's a good fit? And then last question, have you ever had to head things off that weren't going in the right direction and kind of pull them back on course? And can you do that?
A choreographer, yes, you can, because it's your relationship with the choreographer, the same way you are with any artist. And I also make it very clear to them what I'm after. I don't try to box them into anything. I give a choreographer free reins to have an audition and pick dancers. I help guide when asked about a dancer, but it's my opinion. And I love to see a dancer being chosen by a choreographer that I would go, oh, I didn't see them in this light, and now I see them in a new light. So it helps educate me on the depths of their talents. I watch, I'm present, I'm here every day. I make myself available. I choose choreographers that inspire me. And I look for works, and I ask for choreographers for their inspiration for the work. And I make sure that it's right for us at this time. Sometimes there's been a work that I don't think it's right. I love the work, but I don't think it's right for us at this time. So I call them bubbles. The same thing with ideas. I have a whole bunch of balloons in the air that have a string attached to them. So when it comes to pulling down an idea, they're all up there, and you pull one down and you're like, this is the right time and the right place.
Yeah, that I love that idea. And the balloons are walking around with you all the time.
They're definitely floating up there. There's so many things that you can do. So you have to make sure that you provide, continuity from one to the other. You can't look at what's in front of your nose. You have to look at what's ahead.
Which is, I think, also a way of getting perspective and staying a little bit calmer. Okay, can we do the fun part? Can we do the, I mean, it's all fun, but can we do the light part?
At least don't stop me from getting hot.
Favorite dance memory?
One?
Or more?
Getting my contract. Being on the cover of Dance Magazine. Being a principal. Getting my first incredible review with my name in it. Woo! One of the incredible moments was, and it always happened to all the principal dancers at PMB, but one day I jeted on stage in second act Swan Lake, you jete and you come to your low place, and the audience applauded. And I didn't know what to do. I was like, I'll wait for them because I need to hear the first part of the music. That was fantastic.
That's great. Favorite ballet?
All of them, for a different reason and a different purpose. The classics, the Balanchine black and white, some of those tutus, Glenn Tetley's work. Oh my God, because he made me passionate about it. And it changed my life. It changed my career, dancing some of those works. Working with Kent Stoll in his studio, just the two of us, on musicality and how to move and coordination. Francie and some of those minutia moments of Barocco. Just my career, all of them.
That's wonderful. That's just wonderful. This is easier, maybe. Sweet or savory?
Salty potato chips and a good lasagna.
Yes, and one of the things when I met you that I love the most is you actually eat and you enjoy food.
Well, one has to keep it going, right?
I know, and you have so much energy. But I was like, she's a prima ballerina. She's like, you know, I mean, it's like, you're such a rock star in Seattle, and you eat. I was just like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. But maybe that maybe you fueled yourself, keeps you going, your career, etc.
Well, a good diet is key to good health and good success. And it puts your mind in perspective.
I agree. I 100% agree. Broadway or West End?
Broadway.
Okay. Dream travel destination post-COVID?
Well, one has to be Maui. Michael and I go to Hawaii every single year, and we haven't been for 2 years now due to work and due to this. And our friends, Dave Cutler and Debbie Girdler, who we always go and stay with, we miss them terribly. And I miss reading my books. That's the one thing I do when I'm on vacation. My husband goes for a 3-hour bike ride with Dave, and I lay on the sand and I just read my books. So I haven't been able to do that.
Serenade or Romeo and Juliet?
Both.
Okay. Guilty pleasure?
Life.
Ooh.
Tiffany's.
Good for you. Mine's Bergdorf. Tutu or no tutu?
Depending upon how I feel and what ballet, anything.
Choose a scene. Rubies, emeralds, or diamonds?
Well, Tiffany's. I gotta go with diamonds.
There we go. Favorite city?
Vienna.
Oh, do tell, do tell, do tell.
My husband is from Vienna, born and raised, and grew up in the Vienna Staatsopera Ballet School. And so while I was in Europe a lot and Michael was working in Switzerland, Vienna was where we went. And it's so romantic. It's so beautiful. There's so many museums. It's just enchanting. And the food is incredible.
Yep. And plus,
but Seattle has a big place in my heart, and so does Wellington.
Okay, so there we go. Plus, I mean, at least with Vienna, and maybe here too, you have lots of romantic associations, and I think that makes a big difference. Beach or mountain?
Oh, beaches in the summer, mountains in the winter.
There we go. What do you think needs to change in ballet as an art form or an industry, if anything? And then number 2, how can DDP, our tiny little organization, help?
The boards are the ones that drive the organization, for they are the ones that hire the artistic directors. Their lack of education in the art form is one thing. And then their lack of understanding of what's important. People can interview well, and people can have trouble talking. As artists, we spend a lot of time not talking. We're talking in a different way. Can you get me on my leg? Oh, when you do Phi, do you mind? We talk about our artistry, and we talk about our own inspiration. But what are we talking about when we're talking about institutional vision? A lot of times boards hire somebody because they like what they say, but they themselves have not created an institutional vision. Where do you want this company to go? What do you want this company to be? Who is this company? It's a person. It has a personality. What do they look like? How tall are they? What are they interested in? A company has this or needs this. Are you a classical company? Are you an experimental company? Do you want international dancers? Do you want to tour? Where do you want to put all that energy? The 2 places that I've been when I first got there, it was up to me to create that. How did I get hired? I think a little bit of luck, which is what we all have when we get hired, because there's not that many jobs, and where are you? But I think it's because I brought something into the company that was more than just me. I came as a non-choreographer, so I had an understanding of where this company could be in the world that it hadn't been for a while. But companies need and boards need to know what they would like, not the person that they want. So that that person and that director and that executive director can fit together.
that I've never heard that before. That's great. And it makes a lot of sense. Dance Data Project thanks Patricia Barker of Royal New Zealand Ballet so very much for her time and energy and thoughts. And if there is more you want to tell us, we would be happy to hear it in any form, right? Written or otherwise.
Thank you, all of you, for making a difference, having our voices be heard, and supporting a project and staying true to that project. A lot of times people get derailed in their purpose, and it's nice to see that that's not happening.